President Trump has said he is not happy with Iran in the wake of the latest talks on its nuclear program, but said he had not yet decided whether to attack the country. "I'm not happy with the fact that they're not willing to give us what we have to have, so I'm not thrilled," Trump said in his first comments on negotiations in Geneva that broke up on Thursday without a deal. The U.S. president stressed that he did not want to use military force against Iran, but said sometimes you have to. Concern over the prospect of U.S. strikes against Iran led a number of countries to issue warnings to their citizens in the region on Friday. The UK temporarily withdrew staff from its embassy in Tehran and updated its travel guidance to advise against all but essential travel to Israel. Countries including China, India, and Canada urged their citizens to leave Iran as soon as possible due to the prospect of hostilities. Germany advised urgently against travel to Israel, while France reiterated its advice not to do so. Meanwhile, the U.S. urged its citizens in Iran to leave immediately. Its embassy in Israel also told some non-emergency staff and their families they could leave the country, advising that they may wish to do so while commercial flights are available. Trump has threatened military action against Tehran if it does not reach a deal about its nuclear ambitions. He has ordered the largest U.S. military buildup in the Middle East since the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, while Iran has vowed to respond to an attack with force. Washington and its allies suspect Iran is moving towards developing a nuclear weapon, which Tehran has always denied. It claims its program is intended for peaceful civilian purposes, despite having enriched uranium up to near weapons-grade level. The president told reporters on Friday, "I say no enrichment. I think it's uncivil." It came as Oman's foreign minister, Badr al-Busaidi, who was mediating the talks, said Tehran had agreed never to stockpile enriched uranium, making the enrichment argument less relevant. If you cannot stockpile material that is enriched, then there is no way you can actually create a bomb, al-Busaidi said on CBS News. He had said on Thursday that U.S. and Iranian officials made significant progress in the high-stakes nuclear talks in Geneva, but the chances of a deal that could avert a war remain unclear. Al-Busaidi said the two sides plan to resume negotiations soon after consultations in their capitals, and technical-level discussions would take place next week in Vienna. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, who led his country's delegation, said good progress had been made, but while there had been agreement on some issues, differences remained on others. He said more negotiations would happen in less than a week. President Trump's comments on Friday were the first official reaction from the U.S. Meanwhile, the State Department announced U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio would travel to Israel on Monday, where he is expected to meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and discuss a range of regional priorities, including Iran. Rubio also said on Friday he had designated Iran a state sponsor of wrongful detention. It marked the first use of a power created in September under which the U.S. can sanction or take other measures against countries unjustly detaining its citizens. "We reiterate our call for Americans who are currently in Iran to leave immediately," he said in his statement announcing the move. Earlier, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee advised embassy staff who wished to leave Israel to do so today, the New York Times reported. He reportedly said in email there was no need to panic, but for those desiring to leave, it's important to make plans to depart sooner than later. A statement on the embassy's website said they may wish to consider leaving Israel while commercial flights are available. Vice President J.D. Vance had told The Washington Post on Thursday that strikes remained under consideration, but there was no chance of the U.S. becoming involved in a drawn-out war. "I think we all prefer the diplomatic option," Vance said, "but it really depends on what the Iranians do and what they say." The U.S. has sent thousands of troops and what Trump has described as an armada to the region in recent weeks, including 2 aircraft carriers along with other warships, as well as fighter jets and refueling aircraft. He said on 19 February that the world would find out within 10 days whether the U.S. would reach a deal with Iran or take military action. "We have to make a meaningful deal, otherwise bad things happen," Trump said at the time. Iran claims its enrichment activities stopped after the U.S. bombed 3 of its nuclear sites in June, joining Tehran's conflict with Israel. Trump said at the time they had obliterated the facilities. The UN's nuclear watchdog said Friday that it had been refused access to the uranium enrichment sites ever since, calling it a cause of growing concern. In a confidential report to its member states, the International Atomic Energy Agency said it was critical that its staff inspect the nuclear sites without delay.